So just a disclaimer for everybody, this meeting will be recorded. So if you have any reservations regarding that, please let us know. And we will take care of your reservations. Thank you. So we can start now, I guess. Hello, everybody. A very good morning. I guess it's afternoon in Europe, in Stockholm right now, where one of our founders are also joining us from. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone of you guys who are joining us, and a very warm welcome to yet another chapter of South Asia Water Dialogues, a series of webinars promoting knowledge exchange amongst water professionals in the South Asian region, brought to you by South Asia Young Women in Water, also known as SEWI, and in collaboration with the International Water Association, Young Water Professionals Nepal chapter. I'm Hamna Fayyaz from Pakistan. I'm an environmental engineer and also a climate scientist, and also one of the founders of South Asia Young Women in Water. So basically, South Asia Young Women in Water is a dynamic network founded by passionate young women professionals from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Nepal. Our mission is to bridge gaps in the water sector by fostering collaboration, knowledge exchange, and empowerment across South Asia. Through initiatives like the South Asia Water Dialogues, SEWI aims to create a strong, connected community that drives innovation and shared prosperity in water management while championing the voices of women and youth in the region. For all those who are joining this series the very first time, I'd like to give a quick introduction of the series. As we all know, that water scarcity is not just a regional issue, it has also global implications, especially for a region like South Asia that has numerous transboundary water bodies, aquifers, and basins. By bringing together experts, thinkers, and young professionals for simple dialogues, this webinar series aims to foster knowledge exchange and collaborative solutions. Through these sessions, SEWI is basically committed to highlighting the critical role that youth and women play in water management and decision-making processes. And this initiative is a step towards a more inclusive and sustainable future for water security in South Asia. I will now call Saida to further discuss the agenda of today's webinar. Let's get rolling. Saida, can you hear me?
Thank you, Meghna, for
the floor is yours.
Introductions. Hello everyone, and welcome to our today's session. My name is Saida Rahimi. I am Afghanistan's representative at SEWI, and it's a pleasure to have you all today. You know that accessing sufficient and clean water remains a pressing issue and an everyday challenge in Afghanistan, including in Kabul city. Despite Afghanistan's abundant water resources, not much attention has been paid to the accessibility of water and ensuring water quality. The Taliban takeover of Afghanistan further increased water insecurity, as international donors, including the UN and the World Bank, suspended their projects in 15 August 2021. For instance, 32 projects worth $826 million for mitigating the climate change effects were suspended by the UN alone. Most of Afghan water experts, Afghan water experts and climate advocates and environmentalists left the country, leading to the limitation of the role of science and knowledge in water resources management and its related fields. Also, it's important to note that most of the promised projects for water security by the Islamic Emir were remained undone. Currently, the people in various parts of Kabul city wait in long queues to obtain some water from their neighbors with the wells or nearby mosques, and some of them even cannot obtain or buy water for drinking and their daily use. On the other hand, in the past 3 years, women in Afghanistan have been barred from going to schools, universities, and working in the government ranks and most of NGOs. This has limited not only the crucial role of women, but also barred them to study this field. So, in this regard, my first question goes to Ms. Marwa. In what ways has water insecurity impacted the residents of Kabul province in the recent years under the Islamic Emirate? And specifically, how has the lack of water resources in Kabul city affected the women in Kabul?
Thank you so much, Saida John, for your question. So, hello and good evening, everyone. I hope I'm very happy to be part of today panel discussion, and a big thank you for all the organizer and also my fellow panelists for being here. So, I'm looking forward to sharing my own experience since I started working in this sector and also hearing from all of you. So, about your question, yes, in recent year, water crisis has become a very major issue for the residents of big cities like Kabul, and it has a significantly impact on women and children. So this situation is closely linked to climate change and also decreasing the availability of groundwater, which is a very important source of drinking water for many people, specifically in the context of Kabul. So we know that climate change lead to less predictable weather patterns in Afghanistan, and it's somehow is the reason why in Kabul we witness reduced rainfall, and this is also significantly impact the water resources in Kabul, both surface water and also the groundwater. And it's making harder for residents to access clean water. Also, the reduction in snowfall in the mountains due to climate change. We also witness a decreasing in these snowfall, which are the source of feeding rivers and recharging groundwater in the Kabul city. So right now, the reliance on groundwater for drinking water in Kabul city has decreased. We witness the overuse and also reduced recharge for rain and snow melt of the ground level in Kabul city. We witness that wells are drying up every single day, and also the water table is sinking deeper, and it's making even harder for people, specifically for children and women who are responsible for collecting water, to have access to clean water. And also in Afghanistan, traditionally, Afghan women are responsible for collecting water for their families, and they have to walk very long distance to find water, and also this is very risky for their safety as well. Another problem is lack of clean water in different parts of Kabul, especially for women and children. So this contaminated water sources also cause an increase in waterborne diseases like diarrhea, specifically in summer season. So water scarcity also increase domestic burden on women, because women spend more time and energy to managing household chores, and this burden limit their ability to engage in other activity, especially for instead of being at schools and universities, they are going to collect water. And in some rural area of Kabul, the lack of water also affected farming, because many families on the rural area of Kabul province, they rely on farming for their livelihood. So women involved in farming, they face the challenges of poor crop yields, which is directly affects their family food security and even their income. So the combination of these affect climate change, groundwater depletion, water insecurity, have deepened gender inequalities in very big cities, specifically in Kabul city. And right now, women are spending more time and energy on basic survival tasks like collecting water, cleaning, cooking, and so on, which leaving them with the fewer opportunity for education, for work, or economy involvement.
Thank you, Marwa John, for your eye-opening insight on drought and also how the people and especially women are affected in the rural areas of Kabul, including in city. Thank you so much. And my next question is for Mr. Sadid. As you know, water is becoming less safe and more scarce in Kabul city, due to which people, especially children, are affected by various diseases such as cholera and diarrhea. And additionally, the presence of greenhouses across Kabul city has been considered as a major challenge to water in Kabul city. In addition to what Marwa John has added, what are the primary factors contributing to water insecurity in urban Kabul, and how have industrial water usage and climate change influenced the Kabul city's water security?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Good afternoon, everybody. Marwa already highlighted the major impact, but I would like to add that before 2000, Kabul had less than 2 million people population. And after that we are speaking now, after 20 years, it has 2.8 times increased. That means that it's over 5 million population. The returnees from Pakistan and Iran, they concentrated on Kabul due to the access to universities, to economic activities. That's why the majority of the returnees basically concentrated in Kabul. That led to unprecedented increase in population in Kabul, which was already under stress in terms of water resources. That put some sort of unprecedented pressure on the water resources, which is majorly groundwater. Now, we will not blame only climate change for the disaster. The disaster is also human-made. In Kabul, look, in the past 2 decades, we invested in a wrong area. Look, all the water supply companies, they are working in Kabul. They are using groundwater from Kabul. If you drink Coca-Cola in Herat, the water is coming from Kabul. And this is an injustice in terms of, Kabul is already under enormous stress. But the largest beverage companies and drinking water companies, they are extracting this is one impact. The other impact is, of course, the greenhouses. In the west of Kabul, it's almost 400 hectares of greenhouses is established. Of course, greenhouse agriculture is very efficient in terms of water use, but this is good investment in a wrong place. Kabul is not for greenhouse agriculture, because this sort of agriculture concentration in Kabul, which is already under stress, makes more and more a problem for the people of Kabul, because they are extracting enormous amount of water for these greenhouse vegetation production, like cucumber and other vegetables that they are producing. So again, good investment, but not in Kabul. There are other problems as well in Kabul. Lack of the already existing water resources. Look, in Kabul, there we have river networks, which they are basically offering a great opportunity that should be used. This water should be kept clean and should be managed so that it can find some opportunity to recharge groundwater. But the river is polluted highly. All the waste and wastewater is basically directed into the river. And there has been lack of management. Look at the river itself. It is highly modified, like the walls of the banks of the rivers concreted, and it's with stone masonry. There is no chance for the water to infiltrate, and the water is already polluted. So there has been chances in Kabul that to change the situation. But this has not been harvested in the past 20 years, and still the condition is moving in a direction which the groundwater levels are decreasing to the level that we already see some evidences of disaster appearing. Not only in terms of the lack of access to drinking water, but the land subsidence. is already happening. In west of Kabul, we see that 5 millimeter per year. Basically, the land surface is subsiding, and that means that after some years, when this subsidence is not uniform anymore, we will see sinkholes in Kabul. We will see cracks, large cracks occurring in Kabul that will cause, of course, a disaster in Kabul. So beside the climate change, that all are true, of course, the change in snow cover and the water change in water availability in the river discharge seasonality. The human part of this disaster is, of course, not to forget that we see the consequences now.
Thank you, Mr. Sadid, for highlighting very important points regarding the water scarcity in Kabul. And my next question is directed to Ms. Faiza. Faiza has been working as a university lecturer before the fall of the Republic, but now she is staying home and she cannot teach anymore. So I would like to ask, how would you assess the shifting rules of women in water security initiatives from the Republic era to the current Emirates regime, particularly in Kabul province?
Good afternoon, everyone. It's honor I'm here. Yes, Saida Jan, thank you. Women's participation in each and every activity of a country is crucial, especially to achieve the sustainable development goals. Involvement of girls and women in each sector of a nation contributes more and more. Considering women as family leaders, like many cultures in the household responsibilities, taking care of their families, they are a nation builders. Women are increasingly being recognized internationally as essential actors in successful water supply management. Despite this, women are nevertheless still being excluded from water management activities, which have proved too frequently results in water project failures. This has great consequences for water supply and water distribution capacity and efficiency. Women exclusion often stems from traditional and deeply rooted gender differences, where women compared to men are not given the same rights and opportunities. However, during the Republic era, Afghan women in large cities, especially in Kabul, experienced a period of relative empowerment with increased opportunities for education, employment, and participation in public life, including in water security initiatives. Women played an increasingly significant role in managing household water resources and were involved in broader initiatives such as community-led projects, NGOs, and policy making efforts aimed at empowering water management and sustainability. Their contribution were critical. Conversely, since the regime changed, the situation for women has drastically changed. The Taliban policies have served restricted women's rights, limiting their presence in public spheres, education, and employment. These restrictions have drastically curtailed the rules that women played during the Republic era, including their involvement in water scarcity initiatives. Despite these challenges, it's a point of pride that some women still continue to work with NGOs and international agencies, including UN agencies on WASH programs in different parts of Afghanistan. Their continued involvement is a testament of their resilience and the critical importance of their contribution even under the current regime. Thank you.
Thank you, Faiza John, for your insightful information on the women's rule under the Emirate. So one very short question I would like to ask you again is that how do you feel when you're staying home and you cannot teach your students anymore?
Yes, it's very sad. Everything is everything changed for us. I can even explain it.
It's
my
fine then.
feelings. How?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Saida, you're mute. I'm sorry, we cannot hear you.
I'm really sorry. I thought I'm on mute. I was saying that the Taliban is a new government. They are not recognized yet. But after their establishment, they have promised some projects like Shah Warus Dam, Panjshir's River project, and Shah Tooth Dam to be implemented for addressing Kabul's water scarcity. But none of them has been completed yet. My question is from Mr. Sadid. What's your perspective on government's roles and policies regarding water insecurity? Do you believe the promised water project for Kabul city have been completed effectively to address this issue, or will they be completed?
Well, so far there is no project at all for Kabul city. Those that you named, this is only on paper. There is nothing on the ground. So just to be clear, for Kabul there is nothing so far. Only the urgent solution is, of course, to bring water from outside the basin, because if you invest in on Shah Tooth Dam, it will take between 5 to 8 years to complete, and the Kabul people do not have this much time. We know that it's a matter of a year that we see that part of the Kabul will forever will be dried up. Even the groundwater will be depleted forever. And either you have to supply the people with the individual tankers that are happening now. You see in your streets in Kabul that the private companies are bringing water. The price of water will hike, of course, will jump twice, 3 times higher than what we are buying now. Or you have to find a solution for that. The urgent solution is, of course, to bring water from outside the basin, which is, of course, there has been planned to bring water from Sayad area, where the three rivers basically merge from the Fan aquifer, from the sub or underground water. The other solution is basically to bring water from Panjshir River itself, but it has to be studied, and the proper one or the most sustainable one should be chosen. Of course, in longer run, you can do a lot in Kabul for recharging the groundwater levels and improve the groundwater levels back. There has been some projects in the past, like artificial recharge basin, which is in Dughabat in the west, southwest of Kabul. There has been some other plans to basically implement well recharge, like recharging through a deep well. Bring water from Paghman and Qargha for that, for example. There was some study, but the urgent solution for Kabul people is something that you have to implement it from now on, and then you have to complete it in 3 years. Because in 3 years from now, I can imagine the disaster that will unfold in Kabul due to the tankers. The tankers will bring water. Of course, this is a business. People are searching for opportunity for business, and this will open an opportunity for the people to bring water. What will happen if the tankers will increase? First, it will create a massive noise and congestion in Kabul, pollution in the winter, because in every street there should be one tanker at least to supply the people of Kabul. The other issue is, of course, the tanker should supply from outside Kabul. They will go to Paghman or to Shakardara districts around Kabul. What will happen that the water stress will be distributed from the city itself to the surrounding districts. And even the problem will basically spread into the districts of Kabul. And we see that this is not a solution. Some studies suggest that bringing water with tankers is 33 times costlier than bringing water with pipeline. So it is much more sensible and much more suitable and economical to invest in this pipeline. And the pipeline, of course, the private companies can invest. Several companies can join together and invest in this this water supply project, because the government itself says that we don't have money for that. They are seeking international help, and international organizations and donors say that we are not investing in this project because it's a development project and the current Taliban government are not recognized, and we cannot invest in this project because it's a development. So this is a dilemma. I hope that they will find a solution for that, or even the private sector find some interest in this project and invest in this project, because this is urgent for Kabul people. This can solve somehow the problem, the urgency. And in the long run, of course, we have to look for other sources, because this bringing water to Kabul is not the only solution. It is an urgent solution, but it's not a long-run solution. For a long-run solution, we have to look at the Shawtut Dam. We have to invest in artificial recharge basins. We have to replenish the groundwater sources. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sadid, for your excellent insights on this issue. Yeah, I do agree that the water scarcity needs an urgent solution, as we always see that people are suffering a lot due to, water scarcity in Kabul. It's really, sad to see them like that. The people are everywhere in the streets and they are searching for water. So thank you again, Mr. Sadiq. And now my next question is directed to Ms. Faiza. Afghanistan's population stands at 35.7 million, of whom 79% do not have access to clean drinking water, according to the UNDP. And out of 35.7 million people, 4.7 million people live in Kabul city, and nearly 700,000 Afghans returned from Pakistan, and many or thousands returned from Iran. So most of these people will prefer to live in cities, especially in Kabul city. So my question is that how do you believe the influx of returnees from Pakistan and Iran, along with increasing population density that was already mentioned by Mr. Sadid, contributes to the growing water scarcity in Kabul province?
Yes, thank you, Saida Jan. As Dr. Sip pointed that Kabul faces significant water scarcity challenges in recent years due to several contributing factors, and that we can say the main factor is population, and the scenario started from the 2001 and continued that when the city had the establishment of peace and relative security in Afghanistan led to a massive influx of returnees from neighboring countries in that time, and which many of whom choose to settle in Kabul, as you told. These returnees, along with internal migration from rural areas to Kabul due to better employment opportunities, infrastructure, and quality of life, have significantly increased the population. The city population growth was sudden and largely unplanned, leading to widespread construction of informal settlements. This rapid and unplanned urbanization has placed immense pressure on Kabul's water resources. The city reliance on groundwater for irrigation, industrial use, and the growing population has led to chronic over-extraction, causing a significant decline in the groundwater tables in the Kabul plain aquifer. Kabul's water infrastructure is now struggling to meet. Yes, do you have my voice? Saida Jan?
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. We do have your voice, Vice John.
Okay. Yeah. Kabul's water infrastructure is now struggling to meet the demand of its growing population, exacerbated by the prolonged droughts, climate change, and the renewed deportation of vulnerable Afghan families from neighboring countries during a time of financial crisis, which and the influx of returnees have dramatically increased the demand for water in Kabul. This demand is outstripping the city's already limited water supply, leading to severe shortage and placing unsustainable pressure on groundwater resources. The continued over abstraction of groundwater coupled with prolonged droughts and depleting the aquifers faster than they can be replenished. And this depletion poses a serious threat to the long-term sustainability and water resources in Kabul. As groundwater levels decline, wells are drying out, and the cost of accessing deeper water sources is increasing, making it difficult for many of residents to secure safe drinking water. As Kabul's water management systems are outdated and ill-equipped to handle the current demands, the lack of coordinated water management strategies has led to insufficiency in water distribution and an inability to manage uh, uh, water resources and sustainability. The absence of policies that regulate water usage, promote water conservation, and address the needs of a rapidly growing population has further exacerbated the water scarcity. Addressing Kabul's water security crisis is a complex challenge that requires coordinated efforts and inclusive strategies to address. By educating and empowering the younger generation, promoting gender equality, and improving youth in water resources management, we can work towards a sustainable water future for Kabul.
Uh, Thank you, Faiza John, for highlighting the causes and of the urbanization or the reasons why people prefer to stay or to live in Kabul than other provinces. Thank you for that. And My next question is directed to Ms. Marwa. Ms. Marwa, you know that you're currently working in Afghanistan with Afghan people, and you have been in touch maybe with the government as well, and you know the issues regarding the expertise and professionals in Afghanistan. So my question is that, do you think the Taliban government or the Islamic Emirate possesses the necessary expertise and professionals in the water sector to tackle the ongoing challenges of water insecurity in Kabul province?
Thank you so much for your question. I think you choose the very challenging question for me. So, yes, I'm working with not with the current government of Afghanistan, but somehow we work within Afghanistan, specifically in climate and water sector. So, I think the de facto face significant challenges when it comes to addressing water insecurity in Afghanistan. And even everyone, I think we all have the concern about whether they have the necessary expertise to effectively managing these issues. So we know that since Taliban take control of Afghanistan, of course, many skilled professionals, including those working in the water sector, they have left Afghanistan. So this brain drain has reduced the expert available to address the complex water management issues in Afghanistan. And you know, like in the context of Afghanistan, water management is very, very complex because we are really rely on the groundwater resources, specifically in cities like Kabul. Another thing is that the Taliban right now really focus more on the government side, the security issues, and even humanitarian needs, than on the developing technical sectors like water management, and also the institutional capacity, which is needed to plan, to, for example, implement or to maintain a very large scale water project, for example, building or maintaining dams, or for example, improving irrigation system is lacking right now in Afghanistan. Also, we see that under de facto rule, Afghanistan has faced international isolation, which is, of course, leading to reduced access to external funding, because Afghanistan really depend on external funding, specifically when it's come to water sectors and other developing sectors. So technical assistance right now, we don't have it. And also there's no enough expertise in water sector to implement those kind of projects within Afghanistan. So this isolation, I think, has made it harder for the government as well to implement modern and sustainable water management practices, which is very crucial for solving the ongoing water crisis in cities like Kabul. And right now, I think not just the government side, even the NGOs, because I'm working with the NGOs, right now we all really focus on immediate, rather long-term environmental and infrastructure solution. As Ustad Sadid mentioned, right now everybody just focusing to immediate solution, but when it's come to water sector, I think we need a very long-term environmental and infrastructure solution, and this short-term approaches is not sufficient to solve the deep-rooted problems of water insecurity, specifically in places like Kabul. And I think this is why we always advocating for this, that water crisis require multidisciplinary approaches, and I think we need all voices to be a part of decision making and implementing projects. So yeah, I think right now, to be honest, the de facto of Afghanistan really have significant challenges when it's come to addressing water crisis, not just in Kabul city, but in entire Afghanistan.
Thank you, Ms. Marwa, for highlighting the challenges that the government face for addressing the issue of water crisis in Kabul and all over Afghanistan. Yeah, I do agree that isolation is one of the factors that our professionals and expertise left Afghanistan. And also, it's really sad to, to not have them in Afghanistan and not use their knowledge and what their experiences to
I
solve our
actually want to mention that
issues.
we have some experts like Ustad Sadid, although they are working outside of Afghanistan, but they really consider Afghanistan and they really put a lot of effort to support Afghan community. But I mean, like when it's come to implementing project, when it's come to
Yeah,
maintaining project, we don't have expertise. Of course, we have
sure.
expertise outside of Afghanistan that they really care about the Afghan community. But when it's come to Afghanistan, within Afghanistan, unfortunately, there are lack of expertise.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marwajan, again. So my next question is directed to Ms. Faiza. Faiza, you know that in Afghanistan, the people are not, aware of using water. They waste water, and I think there's a lack of youth participation in programs like or events, or we say activities like climate change activities, or we are saying for water scarcity or environmental issues. So this is a challenge in Afghanistan. And my question is that what strategies can be implemented to educate the people and the younger generation about the current water challenges? And additionally, how we can promote gender equality and the inclusion of youth in water resources management?
Yes. Thank you, Saidajan. To effectively address the current water challenges and in the Afghan community, particularly in Kabul, and to foster gender equality and youth inclusion, we must adopt comprehensive and multidimensional approaches. Educational strategies are fundamental. Integrating local context into educational programs can make a significant impact. By focusing on the specific water issues faced by Kabul, such as groundwater depletion and unplanned urbanization, students gain a deeper understanding of these challenges and feel more connected to finding solutions. Hands-on learning through community engagement is equally important. Schools and universities should collaborate with local communities on water conservation projects like monitoring groundwater levels and improving rainwater harvesting systems. Practical involvement not only educates but also empowers young people to actively address water issues. Next can be awareness campaigns that highlight the consequence of rapid urbanization, and water resources should be developed and integrated into school curricula and community workshops. These campaigns can teach a sustainable urban planning and the importance of water conservation. To promote gender equality in water resources management, we need to integrate gender sensitive content into educational programs, highlighting the crucial role of women in managing household water resources and showcasing successful female-led projects can inspire broader involvement. Encouraging females participation in STEM fields, particularly water management and environmental science, through scholarship and mentorship can open avenues for younger women. It's limited by regime can be explored through NGOs and international organizations dedicated to support women and girls. Creating safe space for female voices remain a challenge, but essential. It's very essential. This can be achieved through alternative or community-based forums where women and girls can share their ideas on water management, even in the absence of formal platforms. Youth involvement and leadership are also crucial, supporting the formation of youth groups, focus on water conservation and management can lead to innovative solutions. These groups should collaborate with local authorities and NGOs on projects like building green water harvesting systems and organizing cleanup drives. And also leveraging technology and social media can further engage youth in water resource management through digital campaigns, apps, and competitions. Also advocating for youth representation in decision-making bodies ensures that their perspectives are included in policy-making processes. By integrating these educational strategies, promoting gender equality and encouraging youth involvement, we can build a more informed and inclusive approach to addressing water challenges in Afghanistan. Together, we can foster a proactive and united effort to ensure sustainable water management and more equitable future for all. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Faiza, for sharing your insights to this question. My next question goes to Mr. Sarid. As you know, that the IEA is under the international sanctions due to various reasons since their takeover. They neither can attend the international. Please off your microphone. Really sorry for it. The Islamic Emirate can neither attend international meetings and conferences on the climate change and water-related issues, nor they use the fund to implement the projects. And recently, the Taliban announced that they are going to prepare a 10-year plan to submit to the UN and ask for $20 billion to mitigate climate change effects and implement water supply projects. So my question is that, in what ways do international sanctions and Afghanistan's absence from global climate change discussions exacerbate the country's challenges related to water and environmental issues?
Thank you very much. This is a very important question in context of Afghanistan in particular. Look, Afghanistan's basically some sort of isolation has harmed the Afghan people in the past. And we see that the lack of funding has been not impacting the government, but the people of Afghanistan. That has been our demand from the international community to consider the issue of climate change, in particular, the issue of climate change adaptation funds, apart from the politics, because this is going to impact the lives of Afghan people. And you can channel it, if you want, through the local organizations, through the non-governmental organizations, international organizations that are active in Afghanistan. This is already happening. From the 32 projects that was suspended, 7 of them is implemented through the UNDP and FAO. You see that FAO has built more than 700 small dams in Afghanistan, like very small, like check dams, and over 7,000 infrastructures that can basically improve soil moisture across Afghanistan over the past 2 years. So this can be upscaled, this sort of contribution, but as I said, this is not enough. The recent announcement of a 10-year plan is not new. Of course, this was already there in the Republic government. There were comments from the international community, from the Paris conference, when they basically presented that. There were comments on that. And now the current government is basically working on the comments, and they have improved on the comments, and now they will be proposed in the next COP, which is in Azerbaijan, in Baku. So this is just to be clear that this is a document which was already existing in Afghanistan, but it is like improved based on the recent comments that it has received. Of course, you know, working, I mean, at least opening the hope gates for Afghanistan in terms of the climate adaptation fund would be a morale boost for the Afghan people, because we see that at the moment they are basically caught between climate shocks, and there has been nothing for them to really improve. They cannot survive their family based on their income, so they cannot themselves finance such a projects, adaptation projects. That's why the international fund should go to the people of Afghanistan. This adaptation fund in particular should be separated from the development. At the moment, it is like under development. You know, this sort of adaptation is considered as a development fund, but it's not development. It is that now international community is basically rushing when there is a flood. They are reaching out to the flood victims, but this is not treating the cause. This is the effect. You are basically dealing with the effect, which is such a natural disasters are leaving behind. In order to sustainably tackle this issue, you have to go to the cause, and the cause is that climate change, the flash floods, you know, the prolonged droughts, And if you want to really help with the Afghan people, you have to reach out to the people and implement sustainable projects, which is the adaptation projects, which is some experiences already there from Afghanistan. And this has to be increased, upscaled across Afghanistan. And this is where our demand as a whole, the expert team, has been in the last 3 years, that we should not leave Afghanistan alone in this combat against climate change.
Thanks, Mr. Sadid, for sharing your insights into this issue, and for your clearing for this misunderstanding. And we were, whatever is announced by the Islamic Emirate is always something else, but it was what we heard through the news, and it was really interesting point that you mentioned. Thank you. And my next question is directed to Ms. Marwa. Marwa, as you have been working in Kabul and as a woman, and you might have been, involved in so many activities with the youth and with other women. So my question is that, are women included in the decision-making processes concerning water management? How does the international community perceive women's role in water-related issues in Afghanistan?
Okay, thank you so much again for your question. I think I have first I need to discuss about the current de facto, and then we will discuss about international organization, how they engage with women in Afghanistan, particularly when it comes to this water sector. So I think under the rule of de facto, women participation in decision-making process, including water management, has been severely restricted, and there are many reasons behind it. So the new policy have largely excluded women from decision making, and as a result of these new policy, that every day we witness them, women's voices are often absent from crucial discussion about water management and other essential issues, for example, health crisis, sustainability, and so on. In the past, when I was a student, I remember there were many efforts to include women in decision-making process related to water and also other technical sectors. But right now, women actually are not part of every decision making, and women in the past were involved in community-based water management programs, and even policies that made where women were part of those policies. But right now, women are not involved in water management, and if they are involved, the involvement of women is very, very small compared to the past. And when it comes to international organization and also donors, I think not many, but I think the entire international organization and donors right now emphasize the importance of including women in all aspects of water management, especially when it comes to how to manage water, because when it comes to water management, the water management starts from household, not from the community. So women right now are often excluded. And we know that women are the first or the primary manager of water at the household level. So their perspective, their knowledge, but the most importantly, their experience are very important for effective water management policies and projects, because we know that not just in Afghanistan, but anywhere, the water management starts from households. So women have a very crucial role to manage the water. Also, women bring unique insight and experience to the water management. Also, we know that when it's come to water use, sanitation, and community needs, women have more knowledge and experience compared to men. So I think their inclusion leads to a more comprehensive and sustainable solution. And their exclusion, of course, undermines the effectiveness of water management strategies. So without women voices and without their input, I think solution will fail to address the need of our community and the need of entire population. Because when we design anything, we should consider the input of everyone, because that specific things should cover the need of everyone. So if we include the women input, their voices, of course, we will have a more sustainable solution and also project. Because right now we talk with many people from different provinces of Afghanistan, and we ask them what's come to water, who's more vulnerable, and everyone mentioned that women and children in Afghanistan is very vulnerable to the impact, to a water crisis. So if we really want to solve this crisis, we really need the input and the experience of women. And I think many international organizations and also Afghan women right now, they're continuing their advocacy for the inclusion of women in decision-making process in Afghanistan, specifically in when it's come to water, because water is a very important sector, and we should like separate the water sector from the politics. So there are many organizations within Afghanistan, local, international, and even women of Afghanistan, that they somehow advocate for their inclusion in water sector.
Thanks, Marwa, for your excellent insights into this issue. Yeah, I agree that women are overlooked to be part of water management in Afghanistan. Unfortunately, due to the restrictions, women can no more play the role that they could play under the republic, which are affecting them a lot from financial perspective and also from social perspectives. So thank you so much. Now I hand over the question and answer session to Hamna Fayaz. So she's taking over it.
Thank you, Saida, so much. And I thank all of our panelists for their insightful answers and all of the insights that they have put into our webinar. Thank you so much. We will now move on to question and answer sessions. We have a few questions already in the chat box. If any of our audiences would like to unmute themselves and ask their questions directly to our speakers, you're very welcome to do that. Otherwise, I will read out your questions one by one. So if anyone of you would like to speak, you can do so now. You can raise your hand and speak. So Meghna, you can go ahead.
Hello. Sorry. Maybe I'll go later.
Okay.
Please go ahead, ladies first.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Very kind of you. Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for this amazing webinar. It was really insightful and eye-opening. I'm sure a lot of fellow participants must have felt that. My question is actually to Marwa. I understand that you have spoken a lot about inclusion of voices and how the international development agencies are more and more making it an essential factor when giving donation or fundings, that the voices of women are included. But my concern here is that in an ecosystem where women are not allowed to grow in a professional expertise manner, how far do you think, how sustainable is it, and for how long do you think will the voices of women count? Because at one point it will happen that they do not have the kind of expertise and education to make the difference while voicing their opinions or sharing their opinions while during policy making. So yeah, that is like a fear that I have, and I also wanted to understand from your point of view that an ecosystem that prohibits women from understanding from a academic point of view what is wrong and how it can, what solutions can be there. How do you see the women still continue to make a difference in such an ecosystem? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Right now, working in Afghanistan, specifically in this kind of sector like water and climate, is very difficult. Even, for example, right now, I'm just leading a group of climate activists and environmentalists. The majority of our network are women. So, because the majority of our participants and also the network are women, the government even didn't recognize us. So, it means that even there are, for example, right now we have many professional women in Afghanistan who are somehow working directly or indirectly in the water sector, but the current de facto actually do not recognize them. So this is the first problem, because although we have many expertise, for example, just we can give example Mrs. Water. She's an expert in water and climate, but right now she's not working. Instead of being at university, she's at home. So it means that in the future we all really fear that one day there will be no women in this sector to have a voice, because if education is banded, so how women can increase their knowledge about climate and also water sector, and how they can raise their voices, because education is first. For example, right now we for example, we work with NGOs, also we run a network because we had this opportunity to go to universities, complete our degrees. But what about the next generation? So I think if this kind of rules and regulation in Afghanistan will continue, then one day there will be no voice from Afghan women as a leader in climate or water sector. But what we are doing is that indirectly we encourage Afghan women to just take your responsibility, because everybody has responsibility when it comes to water and climate and so on. And somehow indirectly and formally, we somehow provide some training for them to know why their voices is important and how they can negotiate for their rights when it's come to water and other sectors. And there's not just one network, there are many sectors within Afghanistan. They're working online to just increase the knowledge of Afghan women and girls that you are right, you should fight for your rights, specifically when it's come to very important sectors like climate and water. And I think right now, I think one possibility is informal education, because women cannot go to schools and university, but maybe in the future we should think how we can engage more women, specifically in education sector, to increase their knowledge about water management. There are many campaigns within Afghanistan, and they are implemented by many different organizations, both local and international organizations. For example, when I was at university, there was few kind of this kind of initiative and training, but right now we see that majority of Afghan women and girls really like to engage in this sector, and every day their engagings are increasing, and it shows that Afghan women has this expertise to be engaged in this sector, but we really need for advocating to their rights, specifically in climate and water sector.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Marva, for answering Meghna's question. And I think Meghna is quite satisfied with your answer also. So I'll move on to, I think it was Qatar. If you could please.
It was me, man.
Yes, okay, thank you. You can ask your question, thanks.
First of all, Assalamu alaikum. I hope everyone is fine and okay. And I thanks everyone, especially who took this initiative to discuss this crucial issue. My question is that what's the impact of water scarcity on mass migration, and also what's its impact on opium irrigation? Because mostly Afghans who live in Nimroz province are living in areas bordering Iran, which whom unfortunately we have water dispute. Due to water scarcity, they are forced to migrate to Iran, and also due to water scarcity, they irrigate opium, which is again a global issue. How addressing water problem in Afghanistan contribute to these concern, and also what role Afghan diaspora can play, and how they are engaged right now. Are they organized, or everyone like Mr. Najibullah Sadid working individually? Which will, if this is the case, that will be unfortunately not enough for this vital issue. Thank you very much. Anyone can answer this.
I'm really sorry. Before answering the question, our guest speaker, Marwa, needs to leave our webinar as she's leaving her office. So thank you, Marwa John, for being here with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me. And if anyone has any kind of question, you can just compile those questions and send them to me, and I will answer them, all of them.
Thank you, Marwa John. We will do so.
Thank you so much. Have a nice time. Goodbye.
So if I'm allowed to answer the brother's question, I think this is very important, but if someone else is answering, go ahead.
No, I think you can take the floor, Mr. Najib.
Okay, thank you very much. Really important. You know, the issue of water scarcity, droughts have really forced the people, not only the issue of migration, which is basically referred to the movement of people from one geographical political borders to another, but also the displacement. Recently, the data of IOM shows that 2.2 million people in the last 10 years is displaced due to the droughts or water scarcity in Afghanistan. So some of them, of course, migrated, left the country. I don't know the numbers, but 2.2 million is displaced due to drought issues. So this is an important issue. We see that we had in the last 3 years, we had droughts, and this drought even forced some people to leave their villages, their area where they had livelihood, where they had agriculture, to the other regions. This is the main cause of, after, of course, wars and, you know, the other issues that we had in our region. Droughts, lack of access to water is another main driver why people are leaving their areas to neighborhood areas and even leaving the country. So coming to the issue of narcotics, there has been extensive research on how the poppy cultivation is basically motivated in Afghanistan. It's not only drought, just I'm saying that it's has a lot of motives. Researches that have been done by ARU, for example, find out that drought is one driver, but there are more drivers like payment in advance. You know, you get money in advance before even harvest time is arriving. There are other motives, you know, higher income compared to the wheat. Of course, the drought and lack of water is one motive, because, you know, poppy cultivation requires less water compared to wheat and other crops. That doesn't mean that the poppy will give you good harvest even during drought, but it will at least give you some harvest. And due to the higher price, at the end of the day, you will end up with some income compared to when you grow wheat. And of course, when there is drought, the wheat will not give yield, and you will end up with nothing. That's the reason that was the reason that Afghanistan was turning to poppy cultivation instead of other crops. But now, you know, the situation has changed due to the orders from the recent government. there has been a strong drop in poppy cultivation. But poppy cultivation at the moment, of course, is not in a stable condition. A lot of research recently published suggests that the poppy cultivation is maybe temporarily reduced. It will jump back because this is not sustainable. Because people are facing hardship in terms of access to water, access to market. Their products are not sold to the market, so there may be a temporary decrease in poppy cultivation, but it will hike up, it will jump again. We will see, we will witness how it will develop. But again, to say that drought and lack of access to water is one driver, but it's not the main driver of poppy cultivation in Afghanistan.
And also, I had a question about Afghan diaspora, how they're engaged.
Sure. Sorry, that's just forgot that. Well, we are also, as you said, organized, but also somehow we are working individually. We are basically having a network of more than 100 experts who are working across the world on different universities. We are researching, but we are also launching some sort of sessions such as this. And we are in the next 2 weeks coming another session on Kabul water supply project. So we are working individually at different universities, but when it comes to the issue of Afghanistan, we are all together. These sessions, if you see, they are very professionally oriented, and we are inviting people to discuss basically the hot topics of Afghanistan when it comes to issue of climate change, water. I must say that only from the profession of water management that we have a group of people where we are basically very much involved with each other, but also when it comes to Afghanistan, across Afghanistan, you see us representing Afghanistan in different forums. Some of us even went to COP, for example, last year, where on the sideline of COP we had presentations. We were present in Istanbul, where there was discussions on how to deal with the climate change in Afghanistan. We were present also there. So there are a lot of international forums where Afghanistan should be represented. And one of these from our group, one of us is always there to represent, to somehow, reflect the current situation of Afghanistan to some extent. Of course, it's not compared to when someone is coming from Afghanistan, but at least we are aware of the situation. We are following the issue of water and climate change and all the problems that Afghanistan has. Of course, there are other groups also who are dealing with earthquakes and geologists, but we are mostly focused on water and climate change and agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sudhir. I think you answered the question very well. I will now leave the floor for Sadaqatullah Sadeh. You can please unmute yourself and ask your question. Thank you. Yeah, definitely.
Hello to everyone, and thanks for you to run such important topics nowadays. I don't have any questions, but I want to tell some a little bit good news for whatever Miss Marwa says. In Afghanistan, it is the water resources or the water management or water scarcity is not just 100% depends on the education of women or bandit or schools or something. As you know, the primary users of the water in the urban area are women. So the women activists are currently working in Kabul. I know some in the NGOs that they are just providing awareness program for the urban residents or urban areas women, that they do not, for example, serve water and take into consideration to not waste water. Because as you know, most of the people, or especially women, residents in urban areas, especially, for example, in big cities like Kabul, they are wasting water, especially groundwater, in a very wrong ways without consideration of water scarcity. So such online programs can also, I'm going to say my just opinion that for the future, if such programs could be, for example, expand with the sectors wise, like for example, in the urban areas to provide awareness program for housewives to very, I think, primary education on how to deal with the groundwater, how to waste, how to, for example, why wasting water, how to at least treat this program or this healthy water management, something like that. It could be better, but we have to be optimistic that this is water scarcity is not the matter that we should be disappointed and stop each and everything. Afghanistan is now changing a new chapter, inshallah. I'm the water management scholar doing in rainwater harvesting. Many projects are running and women are involved and hopefully here. So this is why my message that this currently men and women are working in water sectors in Kabul, in many NGOs, in many, for example, areas. They are allowed to work, and even they are allowed to sell goods in the shops, and they are. But according to the Islamic hijab, it's based on that they are working. It is not the news that the women, each and every water activist or environmental activist are banned. It is not true. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So whichever one of you would like to answer can go ahead. Mr. Najib and Faiza, whichever one of you would like to answer to the question of Mrs. Takabala Sadiq can go ahead. Thank you.
Well, I hope that those who are participating from Kabul answers this question because they know much better than me.
Yes, Dr. Sadid said, I am strongly following your program, and I'm happy that as an Afghan water activist or such as you and your colleagues are working. Yes, this is since the current government is. I am the procurement director of the NDC that we are currently working on Pushtepa canal. That this is the one of the the primary programs primarily that we have worked for it. We are here to provide you any exact information based on the research, based on the real data, and based on whatever is ongoing. We are following your programs, and we are happy to have you in the stage.
I'm sorry, Mr. Takadala, we are really running short on time. So if Faiza could just answer your question very quickly, that would be really great.
Thank you, Hannah. I think Ms. Sadaqullah is going to the political side of yes, I think the school and universities are closed for women are the biggest example of what's going on now in Afghanistan for women, and I couldn't say anything else for him. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's very understandable, Faiza, that you cannot say anything right now. So, and I think Mr. Sadak will also understand the implications of the discussions. So I will move on to now to Barakatullah Salim. Mr. Barakatullah Salim, you can ask a question, and Mr. Sadak, you can go ahead and ask a question. Thank you.
Thank you so much for give a chance, and also special thanks for all the organizers. My question is that as we know the growing challenges of climate change, population growth, and all the potential for resource conflict, what specific long-term strategy should be prioritized to ensure the sustainability management and also the stability of water resources in Afghanistan? I would also love to know that how can these strategy be designed to not only address immediate water needs, but also to build resilience for future generation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question, Mr. Barakatullah Salim. Isa and Najib, Ms. Najib, whichever one of you would like to answer, please feel free to.
Well, just a quick answer. Look at the we have the emerging phenomena or the idea of transformative adaptation. That's when, of course, we don't know the end of the climate change. We don't know how it plays in the future. What we do know at the moment is the impacts that are hitting the communities, the people of Afghanistan in different regions. So now, what's of course for Afghanistan important is to have a long-term plan for how to first reduce the reliance on water resources. You know, the economy of Afghanistan is 33% of GDP is coming from agriculture, and agriculture is of course heavily reliant on water sector. So one is of course to reduce reliance on water sector. That is where you of course end up that you are not impacted when the water sector is disrupted as a result of climate change. So this is one issue for Afghanistan. Of course, the mining sector in the future will, of course, take some contribution in our economy, maybe to some extent overtake agriculture. But since most of our people are involved in agriculture, so agriculture will still remain a big issue for Afghanistan. So this is one. On the other hand, we have to improve, the agriculture and irrigation system in Afghanistan, because at the moment the system of irrigation is basically that we are having wastes up to 70% of water. So we are having a very old-fashioned irrigation system, and our agriculture, the cropping is also not optimal. So that's where we have huge capacity to work on this sector in order to improve the water usage efficiency. That's where we can also survive even there's a drought, because during a drought, if you have high value crops like saffron, which requires less water, we can grow that. So this is where large investment is required in this sector. On the other hand, we have to improve the water sector, in terms of water harvesting, watershed management, from rainwater harvesting to building small infrastructures to improve soil moisture, to decrease flood peaks. And if I give you an example of why Afghanistan is so vulnerable compared to the neighboring countries, Afghanistan compared to Iran, for example, has 22 times less reservoir capacity at the moment, and compared to Pakistan, 13 times less water reservoir capacity. That's where Afghanistan is hurt the most, because when there's a drought coming, the other countries can store water for drought time, but we are having very little capacity to deal when a prolonged drought is coming. That's where the governments needs to have a long-term planning, where the dam is basically required to build, where improvement in agriculture is required. So this is a long-term planning, because climate change is playing with us, and we have to have transformative adaptation so that we can also change with time how the climate change is playing. We have to have also some sort of opportunity to survive.
Thank you so much for your answer, Najibullah. I would request our audience to please, we are already running very short on time, like we have already taken 30 minutes for the questions itself. But if you need to reach out to our speakers or to us, you can always do that through our page on LinkedIn or through our email, and we will answer all of your questions. or you can just post them in the chat box and we will make sure that we answer the questions and we put them across to the speakers. There's just one comment from Bianca Pitt here. She's the co-founder of She Changes Climate, and she says that we are very concerned about the latest introduction of laws against women by the Taliban and would like to know how we can help the women of Afghanistan from the outside, and that women are vital for a healthy economy and also a healthy environment, a healthy society. So if any one of you would like to reach out to She Changes Climate, we can put you in touch with them also. With this, I think I would conclude our final notes. Yeah, so I hope you guys can see this screen. Saida, please tell me if it's okay.
Yes, it's visible.
Perfect. Okay, as we approach the end of this webinar, I would just like to thank all of our panelists and each and every one of you guys who joined us in this interactive session. I hope all of us took some nuggets of wisdom away from the session. The concern that the world has for Afghanistan future, especially when it comes to women's participation, I would say, in decision-making roles, far surpasses the action that need to be taken out on an urgent basis. I would say Afghanistan has faced isolation from not just the world, but also the South Asian region too. And I think it is high time that now that we think of our future in a collective manner, because as I've said countless times before, regional development in South Asia is only achievable when all the member countries are included, and excluding an entire nation, punishing 41 million of people for the actions of a few and treating a whole country as untouchable, impedes the growth and development of the entire region. SAVI, South Asia Young Women and Water, is dedicated to amplifying the voices of Afghan people, recognizing that regional development in South Asia cannot be achieved without including all member countries, and we will keep striving to do that, but we need your support and faith in us. So on that note, I will bid farewell to our respected speakers and our participants. Thank you so much for joining us. Khuda Hafiz, and God bless you.
Thank you very much. Khuda Hafiz.
Khuda Hafiz. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Khuda Hafiz.
Khuda Hafiz.
Thank you very much for this important and useful program. Khuda Hafiz.
Sure. Khuda Hafiz.
سجید صاحب سلام. صادق صاحب.
وعلیکم السلام.
صادق صاحب خیلی خودت میتونی یگان با عنوان همکاری کنی که یگان وظیفه پیدا کنه در این بخش آب؟